Great Britain created its first colony, Virginia, in 1607. By 1750, Britain had set up 13 colonies in North America. For a time, the American colonists were happy to live under British rule. After all, the colonists were British citizens. They were loyal to the king and followed British laws. The colonists also depended on trade with Great Britain. They sold lumber, indigo, tobacco, and many other raw materials to Britain. The colonists bought many goods too. British factories produced cloth, glass, paint, and many other goods the colonists needed. But in the 1760s, everything changed. Many colonists were unhappy under British rule. They wanted to break away from Great Britain. It was the beginning of the American Revolution. So, what caused the split? There were lots of reasons, but taxation and representation were two of the biggest. So, let's start at the beginning. For a long time, Britain allowed the 13 colonies to govern themselves. Colonists lived by British laws, but each colony set up a colonial legislature too. These legislators passed laws about property, trade, religion, and many other parts of colonial life. These colonial legislators were special in another way. Representatives were elected by the colonists, not chosen by the king. Colonists greatly valued their right to participate in government. They really liked having a say in which laws were made. But things changed after the French and Indian War. King George III and the British Parliament tightened their control over the 13 colonies. For example, King George III stopped colonists from moving west beyond the Appalachian Mountains. Parliament passed laws to stop colonists from trading with France and Spain too. Britain sent soldiers and British officials to the colonies to make sure colonists followed the new laws. So much British control made the colonists angry. After all, the colonists liked governing themselves. But one thing made colonists angrier than anything else. That's right, taxes. After the war, British Parliament passed several new tax laws. They required colonists to pay a small fee on certain goods. The Sugar Act of 1764 taxed the sugar, molasses, wine, and coffee sold in the colonies. The Stamp Act of 1765 forced colonists to buy stamps for all paper goods, and later, the Townshend Acts taxed glass, tea, paint, and other manufactured goods from Britain. Colonists hated the new tax laws. In fact, taxation was a big reason why colonists wanted to break away from Britain. But it wasn't just about taxes. It was about representation too. The problem was, colonists didn't have any representatives in British Parliament. Without representation, colonists had no say in which laws Parliament made for them. The colonists thought this was incredibly unfair. They said, "We didn't elect members of Parliament, so why should we follow Parliament's tax laws?" The colonists demanded that Parliament repeal or remove the unfair taxes. They cried, "No taxation without representation." That meant colonists would not follow laws that they didn't help create. There were many events that led colonists to break away from Britain, but arguments over taxation and representation were what started the revolution. Colonists highly valued their right to self-government. In the end, many colonists were willing to fight and perhaps to die for the right to make their own laws and decisions, free from British rule.